the hushed heart of London, where ancient oaks guard regal secrets and history breathes from every stone, stands Kensington Palace, a residence of royalty, a monument to power, and for some, a place where the veil between worlds thins to an almost translucent shimmer. As twilight descends upon its manicured gardens, a profound, almost oppressive silence often falls, a silence that swallows the city's ceaseless thrum, leaving only the whisper of the wind through forgotten corridors, carrying echoes of a life tragically cut short. This is not merely a palace, it is a gilded cage of memories, a stage where a royal nightmare may still be unfolding. Among the many illustrious figures who have graced its halls, none captured the world's imagination, adoration, and ultimately, its profound sorrow. Quite like Diana, Princess of Wales, her apartments within Kensington Palace, particularly numbers 8 and 9, were once a vibrant nexus of life, laughter, and relentless paparazzi flashes. Here she raised her sons, navigated the labyrinthine demands of royal life, and wrestled with the isolation that often accompanies unparalleled fame. But after her untimely death in August 1997, the vibrant light she brought to these rooms was extinguished, replaced by a lingering chill that some say has never truly departed. The first whispers of a haunting began subtly, almost imperceptibly, within months of her passing. Staff, long accustomed to the palace's ancient creaks and groans, started noticing anomalies that defied easy explanation. A faint scent of her favorite white roses, even when none were in bloom, would drift through the air in the private quarters. A fleeting shadow, too tall and slender to be any of the living, would flicker at the edge of peripheral vision in the long gallery, often accompanied by a sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature. One of the earliest documented accounts came from a long-serving lady-in-waiting, a woman of unwavering pragmatism named Eleanor. She had been clearing out some of Diana's personal effects, a task heavy with grief, when she felt a distinct, gentle touch on her shoulder. Turning sharply, expecting a colleague, she found herself utterly alone in the sprawling drawing room. The room, usually bathed in the afternoon sun, felt suddenly desolate, imbued with an overwhelming sense of melancholic longing. Eleanor, a woman who had served the crown for decades, felt an uncharacteristic tear prick her eye, sorrow that felt deeply personal, yet not her own.
As years turned into a decade, the incidents grew more pronounced, more frequent. Guards patrolling the palace grounds at night reported seeing a solitary figure, often cloaked in what appeared to be a shimmering white gown, walking among the trees near the sunken garden, a place Diana had particularly cherished. When approached, the figure would simply dissipate into the moonlit air, leaving behind only the rustle of leaves and a profound, lingering sadness. Inside, the supernatural occurrences centered primarily around the apartments Diana had once occupied. Footsteps, soft and deliberate, would be heard pacing the floorboards above when the rooms were known to be empty. Doors would gently open and close, not with the abruptness of a draft, but with a quiet, purposeful motion. Electrical devices, particularly lights, would flicker erratically, sometimes dimming completely, as if drawing energy from an unseen source. A young night watchman, new to the palace's peculiar rhythms, once spoke of being on duty in the King's Gallery. The immense room, adorned with priceless artworks, felt unnervingly still. He was about to complete his rounds when a distant, almost inaudible weeping seemed to drift from the far end of the gallery. It was a sound laced with such profound anguish that it sent a shiver down his spine. As he cautiously approached, the weeping intensified, morphing into a soft, sorrowful whisper that seemed to speak of betrayal and unbearable loneliness. He fled, convinced he had stumbled upon a grief too potent for the living to bear. These events weren't isolated. They became part of the palace's unspoken lore. Staff would exchange knowing glances, a hushed reverence reserved for the spectral inhabitant. They spoke of a presence that wasn't malevolent, but rather profoundly sorrowful. It was as if Diana's spirit, unable to to find peace was still tethered to the place where so much of her happiness and heartbreak had unfolded. One particular story, recounted by a former royal aide, spoke volumes about the emotional resonance of the haunting. The aide, a man who had known Diana well, was working late in an office within the palace when a framed photograph of the princess, which had been standing upright on his desk, suddenly toppled over. He righted it, attributing it to a loose frame. Moments later, it fell again. Annoyed, he propped it up once more, securing it firmly against a stack of books. As he turned back to his work, a single, delicate white rose petal, impossibly fresh, drifted down from nowhere to land precisely on Diana's smiling image in the photograph. The aide, a man not prone to flights of fancy, later admitted to feeling an intense wave of empathy, a profound understanding that Diana's spirit was still present, still yearning for connection, still silently communicating her enduring pain. The emotional layers of the haunting were perhaps the most chilling aspect. It wasn't just ghostly manifestations. It was the feeling of profound sadness, the echoes of a woman who had lived a life under relentless scrutiny, desperately seeking love and understanding, only to find heartbreak and an early grave. It was said that the presence was strongest in the evenings, particularly when the moon hung full over the palace, casting long, mournful shadows. It was then that the whispers seemed clearer, the fleeting glimpses more defined, as if her spirit found solace in the quiet solitude of the night, away from the prying eyes of the world. The tension within the palace gradually built, a subtle current beneath the polished facade of royal life. It wasn't a haunting of jump scares, but of an insidious, creeping unease, a constant awareness that you were never truly alone within those ancient walls. The royal family themselves, though never publicly acknowledging the rumors, were reportedly aware of the strange occurrences. Some members even quietly requested that their own apartments be as far removed as possible from Diana's former residence within the palace. The silence of the royal court on the matter only amplified the chilling whispers among the staff.
As the years passed, the manifestations seemed to coalesce around a specific area, a lesser-used wing of the palace, one that contained several older, rarely accessed storerooms and neglected studies. It was here that the temperature drops were most severe, the whispers most distinct, and a pervasive scent of damp earth and old paper often hung heavy in the air. One particular room, located on the ground floor, directly beneath Diana's former sitting room, became a focal point of intense paranormal activity. Its door, often found ajar despite being locked, would creak open to reveal a room shrouded in perpetual gloom, even on the brightest days. A new palace archivist, tasked with cataloging forgotten documents, was assigned an office in this very wing. A skeptic by nature, he initially dismissed the stories as fanciful tales spun by over-imaginative staff. However, his skepticism was severely tested. He reported items being moved on his desk, books falling from shelves with no apparent cause, and the uncanny sensation of being watched constantly. But the most unsettling experience came late one evening. He was alone, meticulously examining ancient parchments, when he heard a faint, persistent scratching sound emanating from behind a large, built-in wooden cabinet that lined one wall. It sounded like fingernails dragging across wood, light but insistent. Curious and somewhat unnerved, he pushed against the heavy cabinet, discovering that it was not fixed to the wall, but rather a cleverly disguised false back. With considerable effort, he managed to slide it aside, revealing a narrow, hidden passageway. Dust-laden air, cooled and stale, rushed out, carrying with it a distinct, almost metallic scent. The passage was dark, leading down a short flight of uneven stone steps into what appeared to be a small, circular chamber. The archivist, armed with only his phone's flashlight, descended cautiously. The air grew colder, the silence deeper, broken only by the frantic beating of his own heart. The chamber was was unadorned, save for a small, intricately carved wooden chest resting on a simple stone plinth in the center. As he neared the chest, the air around him crackled with an almost electric energy. The flashlight beam wavered, and a soft, mournful sigh seemed to fill the small space. With trembling hands, he opened the chest. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay a collection of yellowed letters, a delicate, tarnished silver locket, and a single, dried, white rose. But it was not these objects that sent a true chill down his spine. Beneath them, at the very bottom of the chest, was a smaller, leather-bound diary, its pages brittle with age. He picked up the diary. The handwriting, elegant yet spidery, filled the first few pages, detailing everyday observations and reflections. But as he turned the pages, the entries grew darker, more despairing. They spoke of loneliness, of a profound sense of entrapment, and a growing fear that her voice was being silenced. And then he found it. An entry, dated just a few weeks before Diana's death, spoke of a desperate secret, a truth so explosive it could shatter the very foundations of the monarchy. The entry was abruptly cut off, as if the writer had been interrupted, or worse, forced to stop. But beside it, scribbled almost illegibly in the margin, were two words: the tunnel.
The archivist's blood ran cold. He looked up, his flashlight beam sweeping around the ancient chamber, now feeling incredibly small and claustrophobic. And that's when he saw it. Not a full apparition, but a translucent shimmer in the corner of the room. A fleeting outline of a woman, her head bowed in profound sorrow. And from that shimmering form, he heard a whisper, clear as a bell, though impossibly soft. They never knew the truth. He dropped the diary, scrambling backward, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He fled the chamber, sliding the cabinet back into place, determined to seal away the terrifying secret he had unearthed. The revelation was not just about Diana's enduring pain. It was about an unfinished narrative, a truth she had tried to convey, now echoing from beyond the grave. The ending of Diana's story as the world knew it was a car crash in Paris, a tragic accident. But what if the tunnel in her diary referred not to the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, but to something far more sinister, a hidden passage or a secret within the palace itself? The hidden chamber and the incomplete diary entry hinted at a deeper, darker truth, a secret so potent that Diana felt compelled to document it in a place she believed would remain undisturbed. Her spirit, it seemed, was not just mourning her loss, but was desperately trying to reveal a secret she took to her grave, a secret that still haunts the hallowed halls of Kensington Palace. To this day, the reports of strange occurrences persist, the scent of white roses, the fleeting shadows, the whispers in the night. They continue to weave themselves into the fabric of the palace. Diana, the people's princess, may have left the mortal world, but her spirit, burdened by unspoken truths and unfulfilled desires, remains. Some say she still walks the corridors of Kensington Palace, a ghostly sentinel, forever searching for a way to finally tell her side of the story, to lay bare the hidden truths, ensuring that her legacy is not just one of tragedy, but of a truth that refuses to remain buried. The palace gates may close at night, but for those within, the haunting question lingers. Does her spirit ever truly rest, or is she forever bound to its walls, a spectral monarch awaiting the day her secrets are finally brought to light?